Okay, so if you go to catalog and go to course catalog, you'll see that they've sort of curated the training tutorials and modules based on different topics that you might be interested in. And then they have the searchable tab down here. You guys see that okay? So for the most part, the first half of the class, we'll be using these, but we'll be weaning off Esri training modules as we progress through the semester, but I think this is a really good starting point, and it's a resource for you if you want to explore things like for Studio that we may not go over, or you're just really geeking out over one little thing. You can have at it and learn more on these training modules. So I think for the most part, if you want to browse and look around, getting started are the courses that will be most applicable to you right now. If you do want to test things out, I've already curated lesson plans for you, but if you want to explore, you can. And I just want to point out, you can see here, there's 145 results. You can sort by the type of format that it is. I would suggest when we get Arc Pro going, that you sort by ArcGIS Pro, so they're training you in the interface that we're going to use for the semester, which I think is still going to be ArcGIS Pro. I didn't realize it would be so difficult. And then you can hit free. So that's the way that I've been finding courses to curate. And they range from a downloadable PDF to actual seminar, to a tutorial, to actual something that you have to follow along with and do a test at the end to pass. So wanted to familiarize you with that. If you go to My Academy, I'm not sure how yours will look, but if you go to My Learning Plans, for those of you that do have access to this, let me know if you can see the learning plan that I sent you. It may just be accessible through the link that I sent. Can you at least access it through the link that I sent this morning or last night? Check your email. Alini, how did you? So you can see here, I only have 7 people enrolled, but I assigned the plan to all of you. So you're gonna have to get that. There should be 7 of you that can see it at least. If you don't have the login. That's fine, just for those that do. No. Yes. Perhaps, but for right now, just use it, and if but try to transition over to that. But I'll remind me that if I don't see that you've completed something, just okay, that's fine. You didn't? Okay. You didn't? All right, I'll send, I'm not gonna do it right now, but I'll resend it. See, what I do is I enter in these emails. I'll do it again. So when this works, let me see here. All right, so let's see. Alini's enrolled, Ben is enrolled, Clayton's enrolled. Katie, Madeline, Jinjuan, but William. Okay, so there's a few of you that got it, but some people, I'm not sure what's going on, so I'll resend to these email addresses, which are just from the class roster that I have. So I'll resend again. In the meantime, just for the sake of time, let me just show you, because this is a part of assignment 2. So hopefully you all can get this resolved. I'm going to go ahead and pass this assignment out. And there'll be, we'll need to make a edit here. Okay, so I want you to take a pencil, an old-fashioned pen or pencil, and I want you to put I want you to strike out the due date and put part 1, Roman numeral 1, due 9/7, part 2, due 9/14. Got it? Part 1, this top part of your paper is going to be due next week. Part 2, which says create a PDF of the RDU forest, is going to be due the 14th. Okay. And this is updated on the digital version of the assignment in Google Drive. I just printed these before I sensed that we would have these technological problems today and not get through, because there's no way you're going to be able to do part 2, given that we don't have much time left today. So part 1 is going to force you to get this account thing resolved, hopefully. And I can send a separate email to the software folks to sort of fast track, hopefully, them getting this resolved. So I've set up 3 modules for you. One is just simply downloading this terminology guide. That should be your sort of go-to when you don't remember or understand a term I might be using, which you can also raise your hand. But if you're not in the presence of me or Alini, you can refer back to this document, keep it handy, maybe print it out. And then the other 2 are actual tutorials. I'm not asking you to go through all of the tutorials for now. We will go through them eventually. So the first one, and the one's called Get Started, and the other one's called Getting Started. But these are all centered on ArcGIS Pro. So this will really force you, or us, to resolve, hopefully, these software issues by next week. So for Get Started, you're only going to do modules, create a map, and symbolize layers through edit features, okay? There's about 3 other modules after that you don't need to do yet. Oh, yeah. Is there an extra copy of the assignment? No? Yes? No? You got it? Okay, and then the other tutorial is called Getting Started, and you're only going to do modules introduction through work with map views. So I'm just going to show you quickly. So you'll see here, what's nice is that they give you the approximate time it will take to do this. Again, I'm not having to go through the whole thing this one, so I'm not expecting you to spend 8 or plus hours on these modules because I know it's a holiday week. So this tutorial is really pretty cool because you don't need to download any of the data. It's all online, and it really takes you through ArcGIS Pro. So it's a sort of step-by-step sort of copycat tutorial that you should follow, and it's the project area is Venice, so it's kind of cool, like imagery too. But it'll just teach you how to add data to a map, edit features, create a scene, and actually these 2 things you're not going to do. You're just going to do add data to a map and edit features. We'll do these other 2 later. So you're going to do that with ArcGIS Pro. And then the other one is actually a web course where you're going to have a test at the end, but not this day, maybe a later assignment, because you're not going to go all the way through the module. So for this, the course, I should probably have started from beginning. No, I don't, but you didn't really give me an option. You can see here on the side, you have an introduction, you have just a summary of the software that you're using. And then in this module, you will need to download some data. So we're going to go to that folder structure that you all should have downloaded from Google Drive that I'll walk you through to help. The name of the game with GIS is staying organized, because things can get really disorganized really quickly, and I'm really bad at that. So have your own personal filing system for naming conventions, storing things, and stick to it. It will save you tons of time later on down the road.
And then how do you open this?
Okay, so this is just stepping back. When you go to the lesson plan, it's this one that we're showing right now is the last one. Mm-hmm. So this one, I'll just show you. Resume course. Internet's a little slow. Okay, so you'll see here, if you look at your assignment sheet, you're going to go introduction through work with map views. So you're going to stop right here. You're not going to go past editing for this one. So you have the introduction, and then you watch, like, sometimes you have to watch a little video. It tells you, pay attention, because you'll be quizzed on this, or you'll have to go back to it when you do take the quiz. It has sort of explanation, and then the E means exercise, and it gives you estimated time that it will take to do it. And so it gives you these step-by-step things that you need to do, and really is just helping you explore all the tools of ArcGIS Pro. So again, you'll stop at this exercise, and I'll see where you have stopped. So, and please, try to do it and not fake it, because it's just going to hurt you later on down the road. So that's assignment 1 due, or assignment 2 due next week. The second part of the assignment will be actually creating maps from RDU Forest that I was hoping to take you through today, which we might be able to get started a little bit on that. But the cool thing about ArcGIS Pro is that you don't have to download data. You can just connect to it with a website. But anyway, I can show you that if we have time. So that's what you need to do for next week. It's actually, it shouldn't really take you that much time, I don't think. It's certainly not going to take you 8+ hours. Any questions about that module? Just email Alini and I if you're having like huge issues, okay? Anything? All right. So the other thing that you should have downloaded from Google Drive about said class tour is this folder setup. And I'm hoping that in a folder that you create, whether it be on your hard drive or on your personal laptop, it has to be one of those, or your external hard drive or your personal laptop hard drive, that you have a class folder for this class, and then you have a folder for assignments, data, lectures, map projects, which we'll talk about later, and references, which is going to be like academic journal articles that I share with you, or anything that you find on your own, that sort of reference information, like that terminology PDF. So the important thing about this is that I want you to make sure that you store all your, if you open the data folder, I want you to store all your data in this data folder. So what I've done here is I've set up a template for you, but what I'd like for you to do is have a folder that's geographic. So you could do state, county, city. So in the data you should have downloaded from assignment 2, it should be like NC for North Carolina _, because GIS doesn't like spaces in files. It's not the end of the world, but they don't prefer, it can cause trouble later on down the road. That's why you see all these underscores. So NC _ Wake underscore Raleigh, for instance, for when you're going to store Raleigh data. And then within these template folders, I would like for you, when you download data, to categorize it, whether it's building, cadastral. Cadastral means like property boundaries or anything that's sort of related to something your father would be interested in, real estate sort of boundaries or information about basically parcel data, climate, which is going to be remote sense data, but try to organize all of your data in what you think makes sense of these different categories, okay? So if you are able to go to back to Google Drive and you see, did the download complete for the NC Wake County? Still going? Okay. All right, that's all right. Just let me know. It's the elevation data that's going to be a monster, so just bear with it for a little bit. But I'd like for you to keep with this folder structure, and you'll see if you open up NC Wake County data that I provided for you that you have those same categories. And there's actually data in there for you to get started for assignment 2, part 2, which we're not obviously going to get to in depth today. So while that's all downloading, Madeline, let me know when yours is done. Really? Okay. All right. Keep it going. Let's open up desktop.
I have one more question. I was able to get my Pro license go, and I watched it. Should I have been Pro versus desktop?
Just stick with desktop for now because everybody else can't be in Pro.
The students she has the password, the login password, but she cannot see the lesson.
Okay, yeah, just let me write that one. Yeah, I'll just write it down. Okay. Okay, I'm running a slightly different version. It's 10.5, but it's not going to be a big deal. You guys can just get Map open. Who doesn't have Map open? Everybody? All right. So I'm going to walk you through some really basic things that Alini may have already done, but it probably won't hurt to go through them. And then we're going to look at, in lecture 2, you'll see, if you scroll down to 7C, there's a link to Raleigh Open Data. We can also just Google it. So do you guys have this getting started dialog box, or is it just blank? Okay, I'm just kidding. All right, so this is your interface for GIS Map. Again, all the tools are the same for ArcGIS Pro. It's just a slightly different interface. Now your toolbars might look a little different than mine because mine have been sort of moved around. But the first thing I want you to do is just go to File and go to Map Document Properties. And I want you to make sure, so this is just like basic file information about this blank map that you haven't done anything for. You don't really need to do much here, but I would like you to, the default geodatabase click on that folder and navigate, slow. Navigate to the folder structure that I sent you, which I'm not going to have on this computer, and just make your projects, here. Navigate to this folder setup. There it is. Map projects _ projects. Just navigate to that to store all your geodatabase. I'll explain it later, but I think that's where it's going to store all your temporary information.
There's a little button that looks like a plus. It must take next folder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, connect to your folder first. Thank you. Mine's already set up, so it's so you're going to navigate to wherever that folder is. And it can just be, you can just do it to your drive. So you could just do like your C drive or wherever it is and hit OK, and then navigate to it from there. And then it should pop up every time you use GIS again. Hopefully you downloaded the folder setup for the class. So you want to navigate to map projects. And this is just where it's going to default to store all your temporary data and everything so it doesn't mess up your other parts of your computer. Trust me. And then you can just hit cancel from there. Okay. The other thing that I'd like for you guys to do to just get acquainted, and this is a little different, is right-click layers. You guys get that? And go to properties. Do you have a table of contents? No, we're not connecting to data yet. We're just connecting to a folder where it's going to store all temporary files or exports. It's just a folder. You're just connecting to a folder. You're not, we're not doing data yet. We're about to do that. And once you do this, in theory, you shouldn't have to do it again unless you're on a different computer. I mean, it defaults to somewhere, so it's not a big deal if you don't do it, but you'll be, if you make, so GIS can create data on the fly, and it doesn't necessarily keep a permanent copy of it somewhere. So this is where you would go to like find something that you're working on that you can't find. It's just, it's like your workspace. It's setting up your workspace. All right, so if you right-click layers and go to properties, I'm pointing this out because I just want to walk you through. This is where you're gonna add layers to this. You're gonna add data to these layers. That's where it's gonna sort of populate all of it, and we'll see it in a second. But you'll see here right now it says unknown units. You can change your units, or it will set the units to the first data that you add. So for instance, if you first add a road layer and it's in meters, it's going to default to everything now is going to be in meters. So you can either manually change it, or you can just let your first data source guide what that unit of measure is going to be. However, it does not convert your data, so that if it is in feet and you're in meters, you're going to have to do that conversion with a tool that's in GIS, but we're not going to go there yet because we're in America and we're going to use feet. But I will say Washington, D.C. and when you're working with government agencies, everything's in meters. And then, of course, all international data is going to be in meters. So you will need to learn how to do translation, but we're not going to do that right now because it's just above and beyond. But I wanted to point that out. The other thing that Alini probably touched on last week is your coordinate system, the projection of how your data is put on the Earth. So there are different projection calculations. The more local your projection is, the more accurate it's going to be. I think she went through that in the last class. But this is where you can set that for your map, or again, you can let the first data that you add set that that coordinate system, and then that will be there, moving forward. So we'll go back to this once we add some data. These other pieces, we're not gonna. I'm not gonna get into those yet. I think that's all you need to know. But you can see here if you do projected, state plane, NAD, PA11. Let's just do this US 1983. You can see every state has a different coordinate system that helps project the data to be as accurate as possible depiction of the Earth's round surface. So you can see here the North Carolina. Luckily, we only have one, but some states have multiple ones, whether you're. So I'm just going to hit cancel there. The great thing about ArcGIS Pro is that coordinate system translation is kind of an old. You don't really have to worry about it anymore. All that stuff's sort of done on the fly now, and it's a lot easier. They don't even teach you really much about coordinate systems through these ArcPro modules. So, but it's still good practice to know about it. So let's add some data. So does everybody see this plus? And I know you guys probably went through this a little bit last week. You see this plus sign? Oh, it's 11:10. Is this over at 11:15? Okay. So this is, before you hit the plus sign, I want you to see that little arrow right beside it? Everybody see it? All right, click that. Before we start adding, I want to show you two things because I think Alini showed you how to add data. They'll crash. Okay. All right, well, let's just give it a go, okay? Humor me. Go to add a base map. We'll do a simple one. So these are kind of cool because they're just like data that you don't have to download. You can just kind of figure out where you are in the world and have a basic map. Let's just do the streets map, which is like a Google Street Map. Now again, because this is the first data we add, whatever projection that this is, whatever units these are in, it's going to dictate all the others. So if you wanted it to always be North Carolina state plane data, then maybe add that data first and then add the base map. All right, so you can see we have a map of the world. Everybody, you see the zoom in tool, magnifying glass, draw a box and get yourself to Raleigh. Get maybe inside the belt line. All right. So that's kind of cool as a base map. The other thing that I want to point you to, and if you could just maybe have a couple extra minutes after 11:15 so I can show this to you. Go back to your assignment 2 list. See if I can find it. And go to 7C, where it says data/Raleigh Open Data ArcGIS. You guys see that link? You could also just type in Raleigh Open GIS data in your browser. Hit copy.
Y'all, when you guys are taking things off the drive, you gotta make sure you're copying it and not taking it straight off the drive and time it to now. So if you took it off the drive, you have to
On Google Drive? Okay. I didn't know that you all could do that. I'm gonna change your, if I change your editing permissions, okay. Does anyone need, do I need to put it back? It's also in Class Store. It's assignment 2 is missing. Okay. Or lecture 2. Yeah, I keep saying assignment 2. I don't know what's wrong with me. I got up really early this morning, only to find the lab didn't open until 8 o'clock. Okay, so you're gonna go to, I wanna show you this because this is really cool. All right, well, I think it's cool. All right, so Wake County, Raleigh, they all have sort of Esri platforms for hosting data. So this one's called Open Data Raleigh, which is where I downloaded some data, put it in the data folder for you. But I would like for you to just type in, let's type in parks. And you can browse this data. So you can see here, this has tons and tons of data for Wake County, City of Raleigh. And you can see Raleigh Parks here. So if you click on Raleigh Parks, the other thing I just want to highlight too, you see this sign-in page? When you do get your Esri account, you can sign in here and it connects all your data that you download from here. So it's just good to go ahead and sign in if you can, but you don't have to. So you see here, if you click the arrow by the download, you can either download the shapefile, which is the data type that we use, and one of the data types that we use in GIS, that are all the shapefiles that you see in the data folder that I created for you that has buildings and parcel data. So you can actually download the shapefile itself, which we'll go to first in a second, but I want to show you this. The other way that you can do it is if you go to API here, and you see this full data set, and you see Geo Service, you guys see that? And you hit Control-C to copy that web link. And this is easier to do in ArcPro. But what I wanted to show you is that when you go back to Arc Map and go to add data, just the little arrow that points down, on Arc Map, on ArcPro, what you can do, and we're not going to be able to do it, but you're basically going to copy and paste that. It's not going to look like this on ArcPro, and then you're going to, it's not going to work, but you're going to connect directly to the data, and you don't have to download anything. It just goes to it, and then it's in your map. It's pretty cool. What's that? So that is the, so in ArcPro, I'll show you what it looks like in ArcPro, but when the add data button, it's that little downward pointing arrow. And you're gonna add data not from, actually you might be able to do it. It's a little bit different. I don't know how you do it on Arc Desktop or Arc Map, but it's going to be in that area. But what I'll show you real quick, this is ArcPro. When you do get it, which you will soon, you see how you have the same Add Data button here? It looks just a little different. But if you click that little downward pointing arrow and you add data, and you're for a website, you're going to actually just go add data. And you're going to go to portal. Oh, wait, no, not portal, sorry. Add data from path. So you have that website loaded and you're just going to paste and then add. and then it's going to pop up. It might take a second depending on the size of the data. But you can see here all the parks data just loaded. This is why I want to switch to Pro, because it's just a lot easier. But for desktop, for the other way that we can do it is just add the data that you downloaded. So if you go back to the add button, home is where you set that earlier folder. Where does home show? What's your home when you click on it? Is it your class folder, hopefully? If not, hit this connect to folder button, which is the folder with the black plus sign. Navigate to your class data, your class folder that we just set up, that we together, hopefully on your hard drive, external hard drive.
Just a reminder, the way that we did last class, you see on the right that is search, there's also a little place where you can add. It's the same thing, you're just doing through a different way.
And you can add data, navigate to the folder where the data is, and add data that way. So that's really all we have time for today. I'm sorry it was a little messy with the software, but I think it'll be well worth the wait and the complexity of getting it all set up. Email me if you're having trouble getting an Esri account, an online account, and getting Pro installed either on your personal laptop or on these computers. I did, just one thing, I did just talk to the IT guy, and he said that if you did select only allow me to have access to this, then it might not pop up again on other computers that you might go to on campus. So you might just have to poke your head in and have him do that again. But make sure you select allow all users access to the software, and then I'll work on making sure that see if they can get it installed. But I will say, if you go off outside of the College of Design, if you go to DH Hill, and these are on that GIS website, the NC State GIS resource website. If you go to DH Hill, if you go to College of Natural Resources, any of those other labs, they have our Pro already installed. So it might just be, you just need to go somewhere else until they get it on. Yes?
You might notice we all emailed like for a request to get a private account, and we're waiting to receive an email back. What happens if they don't do it immediately? What would be the best?
It should, they did mine in less than 24 hours, but if you're having trouble, email me and I will bug them. I'll push them. Okay, so just email me if like within 24 hours you don't have anything, and then I'll start bugging them. Okay? Thank you guys for being patient. Thanks for your help.
I just need like a quick overview because I was trying to pay attention. What is due next? Just this. Just the first one?
Yeah, this is, yeah.
And this is part 2?
Yeah, and that's due on the 14th.
So they just have to do the first tutorial because there are 3 on the lesson plan, right?
Yes.
So is
one
this
is
the
just,
first one?
yeah, this is just downloading the PDF. This is just step-by-step copy what they want you to do. And this is where you actually need to download data. These two are very similar, but this is more like figuring it out on your own.
So this is just the first lesson plan, and this is the other 2 lesson plans?
No, this is going to be not
a different thing.
Yeah.
So this is the 3 lesson plans, the 3 first lesson plans.
It's one lesson plan with 3 modules.
So everything that is on the lesson plan is due next time. Those 3 modules.
Yeah. And you should have, that's the one you received an invite to.
Okay.
You should have only received an invite
to this, and this is all. Other questions you're probably going to ask, how my, like, do I have to print screen or print something and put PDF?
I can
like,
see what they
you can
can
see.
I can see what they click on with the doctor, so they don't have to spell it. I can grade them by clicking.
So this is just basically communicating.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's very simple, and it's a good thing I didn't do part two. Okay. I will email you and add it to those. Is that a Z? Okay, I will add you. Okay. Yeah. I'll put you like, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I know. Yeah. Thanks.
Did like 5 times to process the computer is jammed. Maybe give it a little time.